Good morning, my gorgeous friends on the internet. In today's episode, I want to give you a top list of Tailwind tips and tricks, the best ones that I know, and hopefully can help you out too. Now, I've been on Tailwind for the past, like half a year now, and to be fair, I don't think I'm ever going to go back to any other styling libraries like styled components or stuff like that, because it's just so fast and it's so simple, and if you have never picked up Tailwind before, well, now's the time to check it out. Oh, let me know if you know any tips and tricks with Tailwind. I'm sure loads of people are going to appreciate it if you leave it down in the comments below. So let's all learn together and have a good time. Oh, we're also redecorating the studio a little bit. So I'm going to have new lights in here in the background, and then we're going to update all the posters there. Just want to get into the fucking video, don't you? All right, let's go, fine. Ah! You get to see me on the screen now. Yes, that's pretty cool. That's AI technology by NVIDIA, by the way. Okay, so one of the misconceptions that you're gonna see out there on the internet is that you're gonna need to add Tailwind classes to pretty much everything, which is not necessarily true. So for example, let's say I want to make all of these buttons bigger. So you might see something like class name, and then you do text, like 2XL. All right, make this extra large, okay? So Tailwind also recommends if you hold down Control and Alt, I believe, yeah, you can do the multi-text selection like that, and then you can just add it to everything, right? Text 2XL, blah, blah, blah. But what have we learned? Oh, by the way, this next is coming from my page here, so let me just get rid of it. Okay, cool. So what have we learned in CSS in general, though? That's the question. Well, we learned that we can delegate loads of classes to the parent component, right? So let's say also that I want this button to be active. So I'll add a like text color of like text violet, or yeah, let's do text violet of 600, right? Or 400. Cool, right? So that's blue. That's violet, not blue. God damn. Okay, so what I can do, and let's say I want the rest of them to be slightly gray, right? You might have something like that, or just not pure white, right? That's how I feel being in Scotland. Just no tan whatsoever. Okay, so a slight accent, okay? So what can we do here? Well, we can delegate loads of these classes from here all the way up to the parent component, the UL. So I can just literally get rid of all of this and then paste upstairs the text to Excel, and we go like that. And then if I want this button to have the violet, that's fine, but if I want the rest of them to have this text gray class name, then I can just paste it up there, and then we can get rid of all of that. And then look at that, it's nice and simplified. We add our base stylings up at the top of how we want everything to look, and then specific edge cases will add the other styling, and that's it. For number 2 on the list, we have extending our styles. So for example, you might not like whatever Tailwind gives you. I do think they give you nice stylings, but there might be edge cases like where I wanted to maybe have a nav here at the top, and I wanted it to look a bit slightly different, like the actual colors. So if you don't like text, and if you check here, these are all the colors. Let's say you want something custom. So let's go to Google and search hex colors. So let's say I want like my buttons to have a specific colors. Give me colors, goddammit. Palette. There we go. Let's just go to colors. Oh my gosh. Okay, cool. Start generating. Okay, so let's say I fell in love with this color here. Oh my gosh. Don't give me a tutorial. Let's say I fell in love with this color. So I'm just gonna copy it over. Cool. So what we can do is actually head over to our Tailwind config here, and here where it says extend, you can literally extend almost all CSS properties. So whether that's with grid, with font families, I can just go down here and add a space, and you're gonna see that all of them pop up right here. So if I want to add an extra color here, I can go into the color section here and just open an object, just like that. And then I'll say my primary button, I'm just gonna call it primary, and I'm gonna add a variable here. So we'll do var -- primary, like that. Cool. So we have that. Now where do we add this? Because we never added the hex code. You can go to your global CSS and go to the top here, and in your root right here, we can just like head over here and add my custom variables, and we can just say -- I think we called it primary. It's going to be that specific color. Cool. And that's erroring out for some reason. There we go. I think I need the comma there. The dot wiggle. So cool, we have that set up. And again, we added it here in our colors panel. So now in my nav, rather than saying text gray or down here doing the purple, I can just say text dash primary. And look at that, it recognizes it. So that's really cool. And look at that, I have my green here. And that's a cool trick. So I use this mainly for either adding my own colors when I create my palette. I also add, see down here, I can add my font families as well, which I'll show you in a bit. And like specific things, you know, like repeat auto fit, min max 15 1FR for like a fluid grid, responsive grid. I just add it here and then I just do grid fluid. That's pretty good. For number 3 on the list, I want to talk about adding spaces to elements, because you might have a situation where you need to add some padding, and whether that's padding or margin, right? So PY2, for example, that's going to do some padding on top and bottom. So how do you really get around this to add it to all of them? Well, you could, I mean, this is what you do, right? But there's actually a better way to do it. One way that I found was just do flex, right? You do flex and then do flex column, right? To reset it back to its original state, like that. And then you just add a gap of however much you want. So 12, 8, and there we go. You can do that easy peasy. Another way I found is get rid of the whole flex thing. And you can just say space X or Y. So let's do Y, 12. And that's it. I hit save and look at that, no changes. So that's gonna apply spacing on the Y for each element with the value of 12. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, you can do that. All right, tip number 4 is gonna be generally avoiding applying the apply class literally to all your components. So let me show you what I mean. Let's say you have tons of styles here, right? Text to Excel, text gray, blah, blah, blah. Let's just say this keeps on going forever, and your code looks quite miserable. All right, that happens to all of us. I don't know about you, but my code looks miserable even without Tailwind. So there's a thing you can do in Tailwind, whereas you go over to your CSS, and let's say I want to do a UL style. So I can just make a class of nav items, right? And I can just copy over everything from here, like that with the apply. Cool, something like that. All right. And now if I remove everything from here, let's reset this, hit save. All right, so reset. And then I can just do nav items here, right? Or whichever name I gave here. Cool, so that works. All right, so that's good, right? No, it's not. Why? Because we're going back to goddamn naming everything again, which can get quite annoying, especially if we have multiple files and then we collide with class names again. So just try to avoid it. I know sometimes you might feel like, oh, goddamn, my damn styling is too damn long. Try to avoid this as much as possible, because later on, if your application grows, you're gonna get into a situation where you're like, God damn it, I wish I would have just stayed with writing it out all here, because now some stylings are just not working properly. For tip number 5, it's going to be a short one, but I know I was a bit confused about this, is let's say I have like a pop-up message here, right? It says Fortnite because I'm playing Fortnite now with Maxine. Anyway, let's say I just want to make the opacity of the background because it's black right now. So any colors that you apply, whether it's BG white or text colors, you can adjust the opacity of it. Because I know a couple of people wondered, like, how can I actually affect the alpha of this? Well, look, in my layout, I have BG black, for example, and then I can just say BG opacity, and then you can modify that accordingly. So that's your alpha value. And if I hit save, look at that, it's gonna start fading out. So let's say I want like something like 20% for this one, just so we can see the page below it, but we have that nice fade out effect. And again, this not only applies to the background, but also for any potential text that you might have. So here, if I have a text of, let's say teal, so text teal of 700, And there we go. And if I want to kind of make it look like disabled or something, that sounds weird. We do text opacity of like 50, right? And hit save, and look at that. And that looks disabled now. Cool. Tip number 6, I'm going to show you how to quickly add transitions and animations to whatever you want. So for example, we have a button here, and as you can see, when I hover it, it starts fading in slightly, which is really cool. And then when I click on it, you see that we pulse motion there. And then when I unhover over it, boom, it goes back to normal. So how can we achieve something like this? Well, you add your normal background color, see, which is going to be BG blue. Let's do teal of 500 here, like that. And on hover, so you can just add the hover prefix here with a colon, I'll do BG teal of 700. All right, so cool. When we hover over it, look at that, it gets darker. So that's really cool. And when we click on it, that's going to be our focus. So we just add BG blue. I'll do teal for this one again of 700. So boop, boop. And active is going to be when I actually click on it. So that's going to change it. So I'll just add a teal of 900 for it, like that. Poof, poof, poof. Cool. All right. And I might actually remove the focus one. I wanted to show it to you because I don't want it to be on it all the time. And then we have text white and everything else, which is normal. But here at the end, we add the transition colors as well. So that's only going to transition the colors for you. You can also just add transition here. And you're going to see all the different properties you can do. But in case we're just messing with colors, we're going to stick with colors rather than like transition all, which might affect like their size and position and whatnot. So let's just do transition colors, but you have the other options here as well. And then you add your duration, which is like 200 milliseconds or however much you want it to last. But yeah, look at that. It's just one line of code pretty much, and you have a full-on working button. Tip number 7 is going to be responsive design. One of the best aspects of Tailwind is that it's responsive first. So what I mean by that is Tailwind basically gives you these small extra properties like SM, which is small, right? And then medium, MD, large, 2XL. And you're going to see this whenever you're working with like fonts, right? I want to make it 2XL, or I want to make it text medium, whatever. You can also use it to apply global like responsiveness to your website. So in this case, let's say I have these nav items here, right? Cool, loads of them. All right, if I expand this like that, and this is gonna be like a nav item, right? So I'm just gonna get rid of that class name that I made. Just imagine for a second, okay? I'll add a flex to it, like that, cool. And then I'll add a gap of like 12. All right, cool. So that's my nav. Well, let's increase this. Okay, and then I'll do a text of large. All right, so it's fine now, right? But if I go too small, it's gonna get screwed up. Okay, so basically, what you want to do is work upwards. And what I mean by that is you never really want to do SM like that. So for small screens, I want the text to be I don't know, medium sized, right? So what that means is when we're on a small screen, so below whatever SM means in Tailwind, which you can also check out if you want, you basically want to work upwards. So leave all of the properties that you have here as like a default for mobile. So you want to start from like mobile view. So let's make this as small as possible. All right, there we go. So what I want to do essentially is add, because see, we have huge margins here going on now, which is in my layout. So if we check here, we have a margin of 32. So I'll just get rid of that. There we go. And I'll just do a padding Y of like 6, right? Let's say we have a bit of spacing there. And I'll have a small margin X of like 6, right? That's perfect for mobile, something like that, right? So basically, you just want to work mobile first and then expand up to bigger screens. So let's say when we get to, let's say this size, I want to add more margin. I don't want this to be stuck all the way at the top there. So what we can do is use those prefixes like medium. So I'm going to say MD, my margin X is going to be double that. So now when we expand it, look at that. As soon as we hit that 12 mark, look at there, boop, it jumps. See, boop, it becomes a bit bigger. Let me let me show you that a bit more with a bigger margin. And look at that, there we go, cool, huh? All right, so that's kind of how you want to work with, is add your normal classes as like mobile first, and then at the end of your file or class here, just add your different sizes for bigger screens. At least that's how it works. I mean, that's subjective. You can do it any way you want, but yeah, that's been working fantastic for me. Let me also add a background to this so you can see it better. So basically, check this out. Let's go bigger, boom. So there we go. You can also do this where you add a margin of auto and then your max width length, whichever size you want. So on mobile, let's say I want to have a small, right? Sorry, let's do a 4, like a 4XL. So it's really wide, maybe 2, just a little bit of margin there. That's nice. And then if I want to increase my size, so when we go on a bigger screen, I can just go here to the end and say on large screens, let's add a max width of like 4XL. And let's hit save. And there we go. That's pretty cool, isn't it? So that's how you can make really responsive websites super easily with Tailwind. I should also mention that you can do this to all the properties. So let's say maybe on when we're on a small screen like this, let's say I want to have this in column. So I can just say flex call, right? And there we go, cool. So now when we get on bigger screens, again, I can add that medium or large at the end here, and I can just flip it to row like that. So I always think of mobile first responsive design. That's how I start all my classes. I'll just make my screen really small in the corner here, start coding it out, and then I just start expanding it up. And when we reach LG here, then it's gonna slowly turn into a row like that. Cool. So that's it. That's responsive design and Tailwind. Number 7 on the list is going to be installing 2 essential plugins if you're working with Tailwind. Let me give you a quick look. Transition. Cool. So one of them is going to be Tailwind CSS Intelligence. And the way you install this is you click on the button. Goose. Goddamn. So after you install it, you might need to change your Tailwind config file, which is shown right here. It's very easy to set up. But once you do, whenever you add a class name here to one of the files, so let's say class name, and you hit space, you're gonna get all the different properties that Tailwind can do. So if I just write text, look at that, I can easily preview all the colors that they have. I can see maybe, I kind of know how a property name is, but not really. So let's say margin or padding. And I want to see kind of what else it does. So I can just say P, right, for padding. And then I can scroll down and see all the different sizes and all the different things that it can do. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And the next one is, if you're still stuck, you can install this plugin called Tailwind Docs. And that's really cool because you can just pull up the command palette and say Tailwind Docs. And let's say I want to look a little bit about, I want to learn how to blur stuff in Tailwind. So look, Tailwind Docs, blur, click, cool, open, and look at that, boom. Really quickly, I can pull it up, easy peasy, I can get my blur, and I can get the hell out of here. I just realized I haven't talked about fonts, so let me see how quickly you can hook up fonts with Tailwind CSS. So in my case, I'm using Next because I love Next, and it's bloody amazing, and that's kind of how I develop all my apps now, because I just have the flexibility. So one cool thing now is that you can just import fonts into Next.js in a super easy way. So let's go here to our layout, right? You can just import any font from Google using @nextFontGoogle. So let's say I want lobster, right? Import it. I can just go here and say import from @next/fontGoogle. And I'll just get in. Oh, I could just do it up here. I'm so silly, comma. And then let's do like lobster, right? Lobster 2, for example. Boom, font is added. So I'm gonna say const lobster here is equal to lobster 2. So I'm just initializing this, and they let you kind of pick out the weight and all of these stuff here. So I'll just paste it in. Let's say I want the 400. And subset's gonna be Latin. And then you can also add a variable here. So I'm gonna call this font. And let's say lobster. And save. Cool. So we have those two. How do we actually add it to our body? So we can go here and just say $. Make sure you have backticks as well here so we can interpolate it. And I'm gonna just say lobster the variables variable, and then I'll do the other one too. Let's see, because we have two fonts. I'm gonna say Montserrat the variable. Cool. So that basically hooks up these two fonts on our system. And to actually add it to Tailwind, we can head over here and just, again, extend it. You can add a font family and say Montserrat. And then here I can make one for lobster as well. So I can say var, font, lobster, I think I called it. Let's have a look. Yeah, font lobster. All right, and that's it. So now it's all hooked up. So I can literally just go in any of my, I don't know, let's say I want to apply the Montserrat to everything. So I'll just go to my layout here and I'll just go at the end here and I'll say font Montserrat. Cool, save, and look at that, apply that to everything. And if I want it to apply maybe lobster to a specific one, maybe the top one, or let's say I have a title here, welcome, my logo, my cool logo. Cool. So I can just go here, class name, I can do a text large if I want to, a font of lobster. And again, I'm gonna have it here so I can see it, and hit save, and look at that, boom, done. So it's very simple, very effective. I mean, come on. And you can do that with local fonts as well if you want. And last but not least, number 10 is going to be expanding to other venues, all right? There's more to Tailwind than just Tailwind. Loads of people start working on external libraries as well that help you implement Tailwind much easier. So let's have a look at that. So one is going to be by Tailwind. They have a components library that gives you, look at these. These are just absolutely gorgeous. Really beautiful. It kind of has that clean design, kind of like Stripe, I feel like. But yeah, you have all the components here and you can just copy over the code. Now I think this is paid, so I think it's a one-time payment. It's a bit expensive, but I mean, if you have the dough for it, then go for it. But if you want for a free alternative, you can do Daisy UI, I believe. I haven't tried it yet, but I mean, it looks really cool. And this is free, so you can see all the components here. So it can be quite useful, especially for something like, like a dropdown, for example. Like, look at that. That looks really nice and clean. And if you check out the JSX for it, it's really simple. You just add the class name of dropdown. I think they apply like all the... They use the @apply with Tailwind, so it's probably already pre-configured. So you just add like one class, and then boom, you have a nice clean UI with animations included in it. And as far as I know, you can also customize this to your own liking. So if you want to, I don't know, change the color of this or move this around, it can be done in a very easy way. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Check out the courses over at developedbyed.com if you want to learn more about web development. The full stack course is coming along very nicely, so that's going to be updated very, very soon. And all the rest, of course, as well. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a subscribe if you enjoy this content, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.